Welcome back to the shop, guys. This week on the channel, I want to make a super cool gift for some super cool guys. Father's Day is coming up, so let's make a cool gift out of the wood shop for fathers and fathers-in-laws alike. So stick around. I'm Stoner Ericson from Ericson Design Company, and let's build something. Ta-da! I'll go ahead and start by grabbing this piece of 1/2-inch plywood. I've already painted it red, so I'll be able to use that. Now, one of the cool parts about my shop is it's all modular, so this is an outfeed table I just wheeled behind the table saw, and I was using it as a desk when I was editing my video. So I love having modular things in the shop and everything serving a couple different purposes. Next, I'll move over to my main desk. I'll give the piece of wood a light sand, and then I'm going to use some vinyl that I've got on Amazon. There'll be a link in the description below. And this is if I want to do a 2-color carve. That way, whatever I carve out, I can paint down into, then remove the vinyl. Then I'll add some double-sided tape. I've marked out where my carve's going to go. I don't really like carving through the double-sided tape. It gums up the bit. Over at the X-Carve, I'll take the extra measure here and I'll screw it down to my wasteboard. Now, this machine does come with a lot of clamps, and I find that the fastest and best way for me is just to screw the actual piece down. I'll go ahead and run a homing sequence on the machine to get it right where I want it. After running the probe sequence, I'll slide the enclosure closed, put the front door on it, and then let's get to carving. This is going to be a cool little Dad's Chores plaques. I've actually made about 20 of these and sold them. I sell them for $29.99 a piece, and I've been able to sell quite a bit of them leading up to Father's Day. If you like fun and creative videos like these, hit that subscribe button and do it now. Once the first carve's complete, I'll go ahead and I'm going to vacuum off the dust, and then I'm going to change the bit to a 1/8 straight cut bit. Now, I was using a little 30-second bit to get the fine detail, and the 1/8 bit is actually going to cut through and cut out my shape. I'll rehome the machine, reset the probe, it'll put it right back where it was, and then let's get to carving once again. Guys, remember to leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll totally comment back. I've got a lot of great suggestions from you guys, and I actually love your comments. Now that the carve is complete, I'll slide the machine back, and I'll use my built-in dust collection on the cart to clean up all the dust, and then I'll undo the screws and I'll pry it up from the double-sided tape. And I really am stoked on how this came out. It's super crisp. This X-Carve is unbelievable. Remember, I've never used a CNC before about 6 months ago, so it's so intuitive and super fun to use this thing. I'll just hop over to the table saw and I'll just kind of cut it out a little bit. Now, I did use some tabs to hold this in the carve, but I'm just going to cut it out. And when I do cut the tabs, I'm just going to take a sharp knife and I'm going to cut those off so they don't blister out or bend out or chip out the wood, the plywood. I'll go over to the chop saw where the arrow is at, and I'll cut that as close as I can to the arrow. And then I'll move over to the rigid oscillating sander, and I'll sand the back of that out so that it falls through, the arrow falls out from the tabs. Once the arrow pops out of the form, I'll actually go ahead and sand the arrow down from 1/2 inch, tapering it towards the point so that the point's kind of weighted, so when it spins, it always spins down. This is my sanding station on my bench, and whenever I see these 120 and 220 hook and loop block sandpapers, I buy them all. I love them. I use them all the time. So I'm going to put it on my block, and I'm going to sand kind of the edges of the arrow and loosely sand the back as well. The arrow looks great and is sanded. Next, I'm going to paint it black just with some black spray paint. I'm just going to do this on my bench on a scrap piece of wood. And I tended to paint my fingers here. They were black for a couple days, but I'm just cruising, having fun in the shop. Then to pro it up, I'm going to take my 1/4 round over bit in my router, my benchtop router, and I'm going to make it about an 1/8 inch round over, and I'm going to round over the whole sides and the back. That'll make this nice to the touch and really give it like a finishing look and feel. Next, I'll remove all the vinyl. I didn't have to do a spray or two-part color here because the wood against the red really gave a nice contrast. You can read all the letters to make it look really crisp and really clear. So I'll slowly remove all of those. Just a quick second pass with the router to soften it up. Now I did chip out the edge of the carve here, which kind of sucks. So I'll sand it up and I'll tape it, mask it off, and then I'll just spritz just a little bit more of that red to hide that chip out, just kind of a touch up. Then I'll take a drill and I'll drill down to the center of this, add a 3/4 inch screw and my arrow, and then I've got a wonderful Father's Day gift to give. This thing is so cool. My wife thinks it's hilarious. Now I could make one that says wife chores and wine instead of beer. What a fun project, guys. Don't forget, I'm Stoner Ericson from Ericson Design Company, and we built something. Ta-da!